Serious, Redditors who have killed someone, by mistake or on purpose, what happened, and how has it affected your life? I was in Afghanistan for the second time. It was February 2010. I got a phone call from the American Red Cross saying my dad had a heart attack and was in the hospital, that I needed to come home. I get to the hospital after 36 hours of non-stop travel to have the doctor tell me that because of my father's alcoholism there is little hope that he will ever wake up again. I take the next 48 hours to decide to take my father off of life support. It wasn't one of those quick 30 minutes or 1 hour and they are gone. I sat there and listened to him gasp for air for over 8 hours. It was the worst experience in my life, but I wanted to stay since it was I that made the decision. I had no brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins. My mother had already died. Just me and my dad, and when he took his last breath it was the loneliest I ever felt. I hope he would forgive me for the decision I had to make. It is one that I still struggle with to this day. Edit December 21st, 2013. I want to thank you all for the support and positive messages. This time of year is especially difficult when dealing not only with the loss of a family member, but the decisions you have made. I was 25 at the time when this happened. I sometimes find myself jealous of other people who still have their family for the holidays. I know that I really should not feel that way, but it is hard to overcome. Well, I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, and a great New Year. Enjoy your families and make lasting memories, and again thank you all for the kind words of encouragement. Locomotive engineer here. People see trains as either a quick means of suicide or think we are moving slow enough that they can race us at the crossings and win. Mine was the first. It was around 0400 and I saw some movement in my headlights. We see and hit lots of deer, dogs, coyotes, etc., so I really wasn't too surprised to see something in the ditch. But when it stood up on two legs, I knew shit was about to get weird. About 1,000 feet away he walked out between the tracks and held his arms like he wanted to hug the train. I was going about 50 miles per hour. I tried to stop, but at that speed it takes quite a bit to stop a train. We hit him. He flew. We actually saw him fly. Sometimes animals will get pulled under the train and chopped up. Other times, they fly. After we got stopped, my conductor went back to see what's what while I contacted the dispatcher and emergency response. My conductor found him. He was still alive. Pink foam was coming out of his mouth and he was in horrible pain. This wasn't the quick death he hoped for. He held on as long as he could, begging my conductor to not let him die. He changed his mind, I guess. But he did die. They gave me and my conductor the option of taking 3 days off trauma, but neither of us took them. The get back on the horse philosophy. I had a few nightmares. My conductor was messed up for a while. We figured he was an adult and made his choice. Fuck him. I have coworkers that have hit kids or cars with kids in them though. This fucks them up big time. After that, anytime they approach a crossing or see a kid, their hearts are racing. TL/DR, killed someone with a train. No big time side effects. I've used this account a few times to talk about this, so some of you may have seen this before. Since the number of people in my life who know about what happened is very small, I've found it helpful to talk about here in the past. It was actually 2 guys. I shot both of them with my AR-15, one guy 3 times, the other guy 4 times, Novesk, loaded with 75 GR Hornady tap. It was about 3 a.m. but I was still up trying to get some work done for the next day. I heard the sound of broken glass hitting the wooden floor in my living room and knew something was wrong immediately. My girlfriend and my dog were both asleep in the room with my niece and nephew were asleep in the room across the hall. I was watching them for the weekend. I woke my girlfriend quietly and told her to stay quiet and call 911. I had my carry gun still on me from earlier that day, but I decided to grab my rifle. I could hear the crunch of the broken glass under the feet of the guys downstairs. Had it just been my girlfriend and me in the house at the time, I would have stayed put in the bedroom, but with my niece and nephew across the hall, I didn't want anyone coming upstairs. I positioned myself at the top of the stairs and stayed quiet, hoping they'd just take my TV and games consoles from the living room and leave. After about a minute or two, both of them moved into the downstairs hallway and started heading towards the stairs. I stood up to where they could see me, pointed my rifle at them and yelled at them to get the fuck out of my house. Before I even finished saying it, one of them raised his pistol and started shooting at me. I didn't see him draw, so he must have had it in his hand and I didn't notice it. I returned fire and hit both of them several times. Once both guys were down, I just kept my rifle on them and didn't move. I fired 12 shots with 7 hits. They fired 6 shots at me, but they all missed. 2 bullets were recovered from the bookcase I was standing behind. The police arrived about 10 minutes later. When I saw the lights outside, I lowered my rifle, cleared it and leaned it against the wall. I also took off my carry gun and left it beside my rifle. While don't regret what I did in the least, I do look back at it and think about how I made some stupid mistakes and about what could have happened to my girlfriend, niece, and nephew if I'd been injured or killed. I should have noticed the guy had a gun in his hand immediately, and I should have been quicker on the trigger. I've run thousands of different possibilities about things I could have done differently through my head. My car ran out of gas not too far from a gas station on a St. Patrick's Day around 9 p.m. I was pushing it through the driver's side window and steering when a passerby stopped to help. He started pushing from the back when a 16-year-old girl driver slammed into the back. It knocked me in the air and away from the car. I blacked out for a little bit. When I came through, I saw people standing on the curb, but not the guy who stopped to help. I started running around looking for him and yelling that someone was helping me. I finally found him pinned under the girl's car. I then put the car in neutral and pushed it off of him. I got him to start talking, but he was in bad shape. He later died at the hospital. He was a year older, 33 I think, than me, with an 8-month-old son. His family was understanding and I was able to go to his funeral. The girl was charged with involuntary manslaughter. Rumor at the high school was that she was texting. I had PTSD and some pain from it for a while. I was working as a computer tech but decided to quit and change careers to find new stress and get my mind off of the events. I had some welding and mechanical experience, so I started welding on the side and then as a motorcycle mechanic at a friend's shop. Working manual labor, I was also able to build my muscles back up and move parts one didn't as a computer tech at a desk all day. The stress of developing new skills and whether or not I did a job right helped take my mind off the accident. I burned through any savings and equity I had for a few years. It took a few years to get back to some type of normal. I'm back working in technology and science as a tech. I might still be making up for some of the debt I built up in that time, but at least I didn't get addicted to meth or something. TLDR, my dad ran over his pregnant fiancée with a snowmobile. My dad had just gotten engaged at 21 years old. He was riding a snowmobile going 70 miles per hour and his fiancée ran out from behind a tree. Killed her instantly. She was pregnant. Only thing I know is that soon after that, he took a one-way ticket to Denver with only $200 of spending money. He was homeless for a while, he's never said for how long. He's owned a successful small business for 30 years now, so I guess a person is capable of coming back from pretty much anything.